Hey, everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co host, Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Kat. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Well, we survived Friday the 13th,
That we did. It's now, what, Sunday the 4th?
15th.
Yeah, Sunday the 15th. So,
Yeah, so month's half over,
yeah. It's
basically.
certainly flying by.
Yes, and a lot's going on just everywhere, really. It's going to be fall officially, what, next week?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, are you looking forward to that?
No, because that means snow is coming, and I absolutely hate the snow.
Yes, I did ask this in the backstory group, and many are not looking forward to fall. Like, gives fall a bad name because winter is like right behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you got to start thinking about heat and long underwear and all of that. So,
And the holidays.
yeah, those are coming.
But, like when I think of fall, the first thing I think about are the colors and the leaves changing.
Yeah, that's coming. That'll be, I guess that's like big business up here, so that'll be interesting.
Well, it's beautiful, I think fall is a beautiful time of the year in the beginning when the leaves are changing. Have you seen any like hint of it happening yet?
I mean, we, we get leaves on the patio, so they're starting to fall, I guess.
That's the name fall.
Yep, hence the name. So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the groundhog, been bulking up, so
yeah, because he has a long time to eat so that he can
yeah,
sate, I guess.
yeah.
That's not such a good life in a way if you think about it.
Yeah, he gets to sleep for a few months and, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, hope he doesn't starve to death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you had anything pumpkin spiced yet?
I will never have any pumpkin pie. But that really is probably the first thing that comes to a lot of people's mind. Like I'm thinking the leaves, but a lot of people think pumpkin spice.
Yeah, pumpkin spice latte and donuts and cider and all of that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what's your favorite?
I have cider like once a year maybe, and that's probably the best part of that whole thing. I don't do like pumpkin spiced anything. I mean, unless I get a donut that's like pumpkin spiced, then I'm forced to eat it.
Yeah, well, I always think like that's the ones nobody wants, and so but a lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people want candles and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you
I'm just not big into that whole thing.
no, I don't even like pumpkin pie really. So,
No, it's not on my list either, but apple, definitely.
yeah. So, I think we just need to look at a few other options for those of us that are not really into pumpkin spice.
Right, yeah.
The, the most thing I can think about with a pumpkin, is a jack-o'-lantern. And although I don't really like carving them or anything, I do find them to be interesting. I like to see the artistic people carve them. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, I was at Lowe's probably, I would say 3 weeks ago, and they had all the Halloween decorations out, like the 6 foot tall ghost or whatever the hell it is. All that stuff is coming out already, and you know what that means. Christmas isn't too far around the corner.
Well, I'm surprised, I mean, the Christmas stuff will definitely be out probably, what, couple of weeks?
Yeah, I would guess like early October they'll start with that.
just skip right over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think, I mean, maybe they'll have a blow up turkey or something, but it doesn't get nearly the press that Halloween or Christmas gets.
Well, as long as we don't have WKRP in Cincinnati, turkey
Yeah.
rides.
Yeah.
But the
And
way this year is gone, nothing would surprise me if turkeys started falling or anything,
yeah,
really.
there's a lot of craziness going on down there. I mean,
Yeah,
have they found that guy yet? Who was,
they have not, going now on, I guess this would be, well, it was a week yesterday, so this is going into the eighth day.
yeah, just for those of you who don't know, not far from where Cat lives, probably what, half an hour maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like,
There's a guy who decided to start shooting at people on the interstate, and he was in a very heavily wooded area, and they've been searching for him for quite a while now, and not having much luck in finding him. So,
no, because he's in the Daniel Boone Forest, and it's a national forest, and I forget how many thousands of acres it is of
yeah,
caves and streams and just like everything.
yeah, it's a lot of places to hide apparently. So,
Yeah. And so, schools have been closed. Some are going back tomorrow, but some are not still. And people have just really been very panicked, like because you don't really know since they haven't found him if he's there still, someplace in all the forest, or if he's been picked up and he could be in your backyard, or
yeah,
uh, people are just on edge. And then I don't know if you call it copycats or just put ideas in people's head or they thought it was funny. But like several schools in Kentucky have had students to like on Snapchat be making threats about like a school shooting's going to happen on 9/11 or on Friday the 13th, different things. So they've arrested a few of juveniles for doing this too. And then there were other shootings. I mean, it just seemed like in this week, everyone that has a gun, it's just like decided this is a week to start shooting at things or in the air or
well, we don't want to lump all gun owners into the same.
no, but no, we don't. But I mean, it is an abnormal amount of shootings for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So, I just like I hope everybody just gets back to normal next week. And it would be nice if they could find the shooter, and that would make everybody, I think, feel a lot safer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens in that situation. But so far they've found nothing to indicate where he might be or any of that. So,
No, they did, as I understand, find his vehicle and also a gun
yeah,
registered to him, and then his cell phone with the battery removed.
yeah,
So,
not whatever. I mean, it just, I don't
yeah.
know. We'll just see what happens, how it all plays out. But
Well, the ideal thing would be if he would just turn himself in and because it's dangerous for the first responders to be out there. I
yeah,
mean,
I guess we'll see what happens.
yeah, yeah,
So I do have a little bit of news, for the last few months on backstory sessions. We've had pretty good showing in, people listening in Ghana. We've talked about that before. They were in second place for at least a few months, but
yeah,
they've been replaced by a few other countries. And so far this month, I mean, obviously most of our listeners are in the US, but number two right now, as of a little while ago, is actually Israel.
Wow.
Yeah, I found that interesting. They've never. I mean, they've been on the list, usually pretty low, but for some reason, there's been a lot of listeners there. So
Well, yay, you know.
yeah, kind of interesting.
Always good to have a country, to pop up high on the list,
Yeah, I
for
mean,
whatever reason.
yeah, they're ahead of like the UK, who's usually number two. They were battling it out with Ghana for a while, but Ghana has actually slipped to number six, I think, or five or six. I don't remember, but if you're in Ghana and you were a listener, what happened?
Yeah, don't let Israel take over.
That's right.
Play those episodes and get right back up there. We
Yeah,
like a good contest, don't we?
that's right. So anyway, and thank you to the people of Israel who are listening to the podcast. That's always cool.
Yes, fight hard, Israel. See how you just play both sides, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's cool. I mean, we appreciate everybody that listens, and it's just fun for us to like, imagine what episode, has like prompted people to listen in other countries.
Yeah, it's I don't think I get the stats on what episodes they listen to. I can only see like what the most popular episodes were for like the last month and that sort of thing. It doesn't break it down by what area or whatever.
Well,
So,
I mean, like sometimes it's, like when we've had Rick Cosnet or, Burden, when we have Burden Wells,
yeah.
Australia, that, they were both popular and you could easily tie that to Australia. But then, like with Israel and Ghana, we haven't really been able to make the connection with, what it was exactly. But it's cool. It's a
Right.
spirit thing.
Yeah. And we have passed 70,000 downloads, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
We're going for 75 this year. So,
That's right. We should be 70. Well, things continue. It'll be, yeah, we might make 75 this year.
and we're probably getting pretty close to what, 200 episodes?
Yeah, I don't remember what the number is. I'll have to look. And, but yeah, it's got to be coming up soon.
And, we had Loretta Swit at 100. So we'll have to, like, pull
Yeah.
out a spectacular to be our 200th.
Yeah. We'll have to start thinking of that one.
I know. So much to do, so little time.
Yeah. So, how are preparations coming for the play?
Well, Hotel California is in full swing. We are practicing actually tonight after the podcast. So, it's going very well. It's the largest cast we've ever had. And, people are really like, so we're having a costume theme because people really seem to like the experience of dressing up,
Right.
and coming to the show. So we saw that in our art show that we had. So if you're coming to the Barberville show, it's the 70s theme. So, Hotel California, the song was released in the 70s. And so,
Yeah.
you know, one of the themes. And, with that 70s show, TV show, a lot of people will have an easy idea, what it looked like in the 70s, what kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
attire. So that'll be really fun. And then if you are coming to the Corbin show at the Depot, then it is vintage Hollywood glamour. So I cannot wait to see the photos that come from that.
Vintage Hollywood glamour.
Yes.
Like
So
70s Hollywood glamour?
No, but I'm thinking like Rita Hayworth and
That's not
Grace
even the
Kelly.
same. That's
You
not
know,
even the same decade.
no, but because California, Hotel California, Hollywood, it's like in California. So that's why that theme. And then, but it's also like spooky, as part of it too. So it's like spooky vintage Hollywood
Okay.
glamour. So people are going to be, really dressed up, but also have that spookiness to them through
Alrighty.
makeup or whatever. But,
Okay.
we'll have lots of photos. So, I think the women will have like, hair pieces, hats, those kinds of things. There's just so much creativity and so many ways to do it. But, everyone is going to check in to the Hotel California. We'll get to see who actually gets to, well, everyone can check out, but, they can
Right.
never leave.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know,
It'll be interesting to see.
yes, I hope that you get to. But it's coming up the 18th and 19th of October.
Yeah, that's just what, a month away?
It really is. It's scary, really scary when you think about it like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm sure you have it all. I'm sure you'll have it all together by, the time the first show starts.
easy peasy.
Yeah. I mean, how are the technical aspects coming along?
Everything's great. We have a wonderful tech person named Amy, and she is awesome. Awesome, Amy. And she's just taking care of everything, and it looks really good. Like the scene changes, all of that are just going very well. She's great, a
Cool.
good addition. So it's the first time we've had a tech person, and we got a good one. So,
Well, that's a plus because it is a little challenging for this play.
and one of the characters. So we have some musicians in this one, but the live pianist is an ophthalmologist who came to our last show and wanted to be a part of our next show. So I'm not sure that he knew what he was going to be getting into,
Okay.
but he's so excited. He's going to be a skeleton that plays the piano because, his vocal cords are like gone.
Right, yeah. So you
So
can't sing.
all he can do is use his bones.
Mm, gotcha.
Yeah. So
All
play it
right.
again
Well, speaking of instrument playing people,
with vocal cords.
yes, yes, with vocal cords. Our guest this evening is,
Yes, it's Don Gatlin.
yeah,
And he has great vocal cords, also great brain because he does songwriting too.
yeah.
So,
I believe he worked with a lot of different people. I know he was in Kenny Rogers' band for a long time.
yes, and then he, had his band Savannah Jack, and
He still tours with Savannah Jack, I believe, doesn't he?
I think so,
Yeah.
yes. And with the Kenny Rogers, tribute experience or whatever that they're traveling around to keep the memory of Kenny Rogers alive. And
Right.
yeah, so I mean, that's really very cool because, I know like so many Kenny Rogers songs, don't you? I
Oh
mean,
yeah. I mean, he's you know, put out a lot of good music, and it was been around for a lot of years. So, well, he was. I think he's.
yes, yes, he was. And so, I think how cool to get to sing his songs, to travel around, meet fans that know the songs, and that's a cool aspect. Plus, he wrote two songs, I believe, for Kenny Rogers, maybe more, but So it's someone that he knew, and how that is also very cool that you can keep the memory of someone that was your friend
Yeah,
alive.
yeah. I think he also wrote with Blake Shelton. I wrote a couple songs with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been nominated a lot for songwriting and uh, singing too, I believe.
Yeah, I know he toured with his brother for a while and, got involved in music when he was younger and did some stuff with his brother and, then started writing more, I guess, for other people. And that's how he, got kind of hooked up with Kenny Rogers and some of those other people.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because, some of the guests have the Kentucky connection, like we had JD, Shelburne on
Yep.
not long ago, and that's my connection here in Kentucky. But Donna's going to be a connection for Pennsylvania. So,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think he lived in Beaver Falls, which is western Pennsylvania, I think, out near the Pittsburgh area, as I recall.
well, it'll be interesting, to just to hear his story and all about, the journey that he's been on.
All right, well, let's talk to Don and find out what that story is.
Let's do it. Dawn, I want to welcome you to Backstory Sessions. We're really excited to have you as a guest today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it very much.
Well, you had a really very long and successful career. I like to get a little bit of your backstory before we get into the specifics, but you and
Sure.
Matt have this in common in that although Matt didn't grow up in Pennsylvania, that's where he currently is, but you did grow up there. Is that
Sure
right?
did. My dad was a steel worker, and he moved us from Virginia. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, and he moved us from there to Brady's Run Holler, which is a little out in the woods outside of Pittsburgh. And my dad was a classic steel worker, and so we grew up in that area all through school and played sports, and sang with my brother at a very early age. We started singing for the neighbors and friends. We were like 5 and 7 years old. He was older. My brother's older. And that led to putting a band together when I was 13 years old. And we quickly started playing in some bars, which we shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah.
Big move to the Wheeling Jamboree, the Capitol Music Hall in Wheeling, West Virginia, which is the second longest running radio show besides the Grand Ole Opry in the United States. And we went there and auditioned to get to, perform on the Opry show, on the Jamboree show. And well, and we were only, like I said, only 12 years old. I was actually 12 when we did that. And next thing you know, we started opening up for like national acts from Nashville that would come in, be it a Ronnie Millsap, John Conley, the country stars of the times. And we actually did 2 songs at Jamboree in the Hills, which was called the Super Bowl of country music. And so at the age of 13, I was playing for 65,000 people. Then we went over to Salem, Ohio, which is a place called Ponderosa Park, a legendary outdoor park for camping and fried chicken and a Western wear store, a Red Garter saloon. But the main thing, they bring in a national act, again from Nashville, on Sundays in this outdoor venue. And the owner of the park fell in love with us, my brother and I. And so for me, age 13 on, we'd open up we get to do 5 shows a year, opening for big names from Alabama to the Oakers Boys, Eddie Rabbitt, Barbara Mandrell. So my childhood was spent playing for front of thousands of people at those 2 venues alone. We got to open up for every major country star there is. What an amazing way to learn and grow up around your heroes. It's pretty amazing. We didn't get to just have to watch. We didn't just watch them on TV. We actually got to share the stage with them at a very early age, and that led to myself going on the old Nashville network, TNN, when I was 18 years old, and I entered a show called "You Could Be a Star," which was hosted by Jim Ed Brown,
I
Grand
remember.
Opry. Yeah, and I won the whole thing. I was a grand champion winner, which
Mhm.
which which led to me doing a record on Capitol Records and playing the Grand Ole Opry for the first time. And then and I was 18 years old. I was a senior in high school, so it was really exciting to be on Capitol Records and be a senior in high school. It was very fun. My favorite moment at the early days of that was my brother and I played the Arthritis Telethon, which was hosted by, at the time, Marie Osmond and John Snyder from the Dukes of Hazzard. And Mickey Gilley brought us on stage, and I was, again, this was on CBS. This was on network. And so we played the Grand Ole Opry, and Mickey Gilley was the host of our segment. And the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Danny White at the time, was also on our segment. And it was just what we went out there, and the audience loved it. So I said, you know what? I think I could do this for the rest of my life. It was when you're doing that high profile of the show, and the crowd loved it so much. I said, well, we need to get down to Nashville. So the following year, we put that summer in Pennsylvania, but the following year we moved. We started making our ways in Nashville. We moved to Murfreesboro, my brother and I both. I told my brother, I said, I'm moving, you coming with me? And my brother said, yep, I'll come with you. And because I really wanted to do the duo thing, because we had done that since we were little kids. So I wanted to keep doing the duet thing. And so we got down there, and there was a place called Bubba's in Murfreesboro. And it was a little bar that nobody, on Friday and Saturday night, they couldn't get 5 people in there. So the owner of the place was literally called Bubba. He was a big old Bubba, big old dude, 500 pounds. He was huge, and his name was Bubba. And I told Bubba, I said, listen, you got no crowd here, so here's what we'll do. We'll play here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for nothing. But by Saturday, the line's going to be out the door of people. And if it is, I want the money that we get playing the bars back in Pennsylvania, which was quite a bit. And he said, well, what do I got to lose? Let's go for it. Well, I hit the streets in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, as if I was running for mayor. I went to every restaurant, every business, and gave them flyers like the old days. Because it was the old days. This was the 80s. And passed out flyers, and word of mouth by Saturday, just like I predicted, the line was around the building to get into that little bar. And so then after that, we had a house gig. He kept his promise. Now we had a house gig. So I knew the next thing to do, I wanted to get down to Nashville, in town. I started looking for the independent songwriting publishing companies, because I know a lot of the songwriters can't sing, so they're going to need somebody to sing the demos for them. I had done my research and found out that's a way I could earn extra money while we're searching for a record deal again. So I went down there. Sure enough, I found some really good writers that couldn't sing. So they instantly hired me. I had a place for them to come out to see it in Murfreesboro at the Bubba's. So that grew so much that we had such a big following that Bubba bought a bigger place just for my brother and I. He bought a big club that seated about 550 people a night capacity, just for us. Sole reason was to get enough people, to fit all our fans. So that's when we started doing that, and then we said, I think it's time to get another record deal. The first label we went to was Sony Epic Records. Had one connection there, the head of A&R. She came out with Bob Montgomery, a legend in the business, and they came out and saw us. Well, they walked into a hurricane because our fans loved us so much there in Murfreesboro, but they went crazy, and so they saw this response, and they offered us a record deal 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yep.
That is quite a story. So,
Yep.
I guess it brings a question to mind. Obviously, you worked very hard.
Very hard.
Talent. So, but I guess there's also some luck involved in all of it.
Well, the luck, there's early on, I would have to say, we just worked. We were lucky enough to get such a great early start, I guess you'd say, because we were lucky enough to be growing up in an area that had Ponderosa Park, that had the Capitol Music Hall. And those people took a chance on my brother and I. So we literally were educated in the Country Music Hall of Fame was our education. We got to work with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Alabama. So we got to see all the greats and grow up, not just watch them on TV, like I said. We got to watch them and work with them. So when we got to Nashville, we knew how good we had to be to compete and be considered peers of those people. So that was such a great, lucky area to grow up in, and those places to embrace us. Once we got our record deal, that's when the work begins, and that's where I feel that we were very unfortunate. We had a lot of bad, unlucky breaks. My brother and I released our first record, and I'm telling you, we were off to a great start. Our first single was Goodbye Highway for Sony Epic Records, and our next song was a pretty big hit, No Sir, which I wrote, and the video was retired, the Video Hall of Fame. There was a real buzz going on about it. And then right when I felt, well, this thing's about ready to take off, everybody that signed us at the label, they all got fired, and a new regime came in, and that was very unlucky because just like you have a new football coach, right? The football coach, he wants his own quarterback. He doesn't want the quarterback that the other coach had. He wants his own guy. And when we came in, we noticed all that momentum we had got was instantly destroyed because the new regime, the new vice president, the new president of the label had brought in their own acts that they wanted to push. And so it was now we were like, uh-oh, this is going to be an uphill battle now all of a sudden. And it was. So we did another whole album with the Sony, but we did so many great things. We played the Grand Ole Opry, I do believe, at least 18 times. And we played the televised shows. We played all the TNN shows. We were working like crazy, but after that, we couldn't get anything higher on the charts than 38. We couldn't penetrate the charts any higher than that. And eventually it led to Sony letting us go. So that's when I had to say, you know what? Do I want to keep doing this at this level? I got to find a way.
Did you ever consider just changing to some other job that you may have had thought about
No,
before?
I've never had any other job. I've never done a single thing besides that. I found this from good advice from really great people in the business. They said, if you have a plan B to fall back on, 98% of the time you fall back on your plan B. Don't give yourself any other option. Make the option you chose the only option. And that's why I'm 57 years old right now and touring and being as successful as I've ever been. Because I don't have another option. I make what I'm doing work, no matter how hard it is, how much I have to into it. I'm very blessed to be able to work with everybody under the sun. My career, if I did nothing else, my career has been ridiculous. I'm so lucky and blessed that it's still going in such an incredible rate. But when first Spellman walked in, I never expected the Sony record deal to not work. I thought for sure it was just going to be smooth sailing, but it really, from that moment on, there was a lot of rocks in the road, a lot of forks in the road. And every time I face the adversity, I go, I got to figure my way out of this. Songwriting was my first and smartest thing I ever did. I love songwriting anyway. Billy Joel, Kenny Rogers, you name it, Paul McCartney, all my heroes were songwriters too. And so I just dug into songwriting and started writing songs for other artists and making money as a songwriter until that next record deal came along. And that's exactly what happened. I was writing songs. I wrote this song for a group called Yankee Gray. Their lead singer went crazy. And the next thing you know, they asked me to be the lead singer for that group. So suddenly I was back on Sony again in the group Yankee Gray. So, and the group had two big hits, a number 2 and a number 11 on the charts. So, but they weren't, I'm kind of a nerd. I'm very not into drinking and smoking or doing any kind of drugs. I've been very, music's my high and my family's my high. And so Yankee Gray, unfortunately at the time, had a lot of chemical problems. So I knew that was not going to last because I didn't want to be associated with that. I loved the guys. They were good hearts. They had good hearts, but they were living such hard lives. I knew this wasn't going to work for me personally. Musically it did, but not personally. So I was back to square one. So I just kept writing songs. Toby Keith was a big fan of my songs, so he signed me to his publishing company. That led to another deal with Curb Records. and I put a whole solo album out. I was so proud of that record. 4 songs from that record ended up being cut by other artists, including Kenny Rogers. And so I was all excited to release that. My manager at the time had a falling out with Curb Records, and that record deal went away. And it just broke my heart. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that fell through too, you know. So then, like most careers, I'm back to square one again. So just keeps going, you know.
Well, Matt, we've talked about this with other guests before and the plan B, whether it's good to have one or not.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, no.
Yeah. A lot of them seem to not have a plan B. It's like, music is all they wanted to do, and that was the path they
Yeah.
followed, much like you were saying.
Make it work. Make it work. Don't have a plan B. Because I'm telling you, everybody that ever said, I got plan B, they end up doing the plan B. It happens every time. You know, like I said, I've seen so many come and go. I've seen just literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of artists that I've worked with, hundreds and hundreds of writers, publishers, A&R people. I've seen them. I've been, like I said, in Nashville 36 years. I've seen them all come and go. I've seen them come in on their high horse and then to get knocked off that horse, and some can't get back up and get back on that horse. They just put their tail between their legs and go home. I've seen it, but that's what makes the wheels go around in Nashville. What makes keeps that machine going. They expect 75% of the people to make that first initial plunge, and if it don't work, they go home.
So you found, some success when you were very young. What did your parents think of that? Were they supportive? You said your father was a steel worker and
Yeah, they absolutely loved it. They had a big thrill. My mom especially, because my mom was a real good singer, and she sang in Virginia, and she did a couple of radio shows. Got to open for Wilma Lee Cooper and Kitty Wells a couple times,
mm-hmm.
and a very lovely lady. So she was doing real good. But my dad came along, and my dad was old school, Southern old school from Memphis, Tennessee, and he didn't want a bunch of guys looking at my mom on stage, and drooling over and stuff. So he said, well, if we're getting married, you're going to be the traditional housewife. He was the old school, and she loved him. So she went along with that. So she retired from singing and raised us and raised my brothers and I. And so she kind of lived vicariously through us, when we got that stuff going, it's like now it's hey, my boys are singing, even if I didn't get a chance to pursue my dream,
What did your friends think of it? That certainly not a normal childhood, I guess.
No, it was pretty crazy because like I played sports, and especially my brother Daryl, I have 2 brothers,
mm-hmm.
but my brother Daryl was really good in sports, and I sang with him when we were kids, and I did pretty good in sports too. But it was weird. It was weird to I remember I pitched in a championship game. I pitched when I was like 15 years old, 14, something like that. And then as soon as the game was over, I had to go and perform a big show. And then sometimes my brother and I would sing the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
He'd throw his basketball warm-up outfit on and go to the jump ball. He's 6'7", so he's like, we'd sing with anthem and then we'd go play the game. It was fun actually. It was a lot of fun to have that much excitement going on in your youth,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So when did you start writing your own songs?
Very early. When I was still a teenager, I wrote some songs. They were terrible.
Mm.
They were absolutely terrible. I think when I was in Nashville, again, when I started getting with professional songwriters, I really credit some guys. One guy's named Tom Payton, the other was Ted French, and then my best friend to this day, Billy Montana. When I started writing with those guys, it improved my game just immensely. And then when you have that first song, like when you're doing your own songs, that's one thing. But when you have a major label recording artist says, you know what, I want to record your song, Don. You know how many songwriters and how many songs in the world? When that happens, then you go, well, I may be on to something here. And I had some songs recorded, but not until 2000, when I officially felt like a songwriter, I knew I could write some great tunes. Some good ones or write a few great ones. Was when Kenny Rogers recorded my song. Because this guy is the guy that he had Lionel Richie write songs for him, and Richard Marx and Barry Gibb, and now I'm in that family. People that Kenny Rogers has chosen to record song. And Kenny was a really good songwriter himself. So it was a huge thrill and a huge confidence boost when Kenny Rogers said, "I got to do Don's song." And he did such a great job on it. That was when I got the confidence. And then I really started. I think my game moved up another notch. And then Colin Ray recorded my song, Pam Tillis, and Vinnie McCready, and Ricochet, and Ricky Ben Shelton. And then I started writing with Blake Shelton we started writing together for his album. So my confidence just grew and grew and grew. And then when you start getting some platinum albums on your wall, your confidence continues to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you ever get starstruck? Anybody that you met, you're like, oh my God, kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, here's it's real simple for me. When I was living in Pennsylvania, and anytime Kenny Rogers, Lee Greenwood, Ronnie Millsap, or Restless Heart put out, those were my four voices I loved.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wanted to move to Nashville, not New York, not LA. I wanted to move to country Nashville because of Kenny Rogers, Ronnie Millsap, Lee Greenwood, and Restless Heart. I love the lead singer of Restless Heart, his voice, and of course Lee Greenwood, Millsap, and Kenny Rogers. I love them so much. And so those guys, when I met those guys, I was somewhat starstruck because these and the one reason I wanted to come to Nashville. Yeah. And then also Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash had me completely flustered because it's Johnny Cash. It's like he's in the holy grail of importance of musical artists in the history of music, not country music, the history period. Yeah. Like, period. And the other one was Muhammad Ali. My wife and I were in Hawaii, and we ran into Muhammad Ali, and he ended up hanging out with us, did magic tricks for us. I mean, just my wife and I. Wow. It was just him and his wife and me and my wife. And I was pretty starstruck with Muhammad Ali.
I can imagine.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So you're a guitar player? Do you play any other instruments?
No, I don't play guitar at all. My boys do. My son Austin and my friend Tyler both play guitar pretty darn well. Wow. I play piano.
Oh. For some reason, I thought I saw you with a guitar. I'm sorry.
Well, I could hold one. I could play Tom Dooley.
That's funny.
But the piano is like, I hear those like Billy Joel and Ronnie Millsap and even Paul McCartney when he's on piano, to Elton John, just a huge Elton John fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those guys are all piano players, and I just love their singing their stuff, and they influenced me a lot. So here's the weird thing: is like for the last, it's been like 5 years, I play piano in the show now. My group Savannah Jack, I play piano in the show. Now with the Kenny Rogers band, I still don't play piano because we have two of the greatest piano players on the road today, Gene Fisk and Steve Glassmeyer. I mean, there's no reason for me to play keyboard. Those guys play the Kenny Rogers songs to perfection. So I just do the fronting of the band. I just do the singing.
Yeah.
For that, the entertainment for that. But Savannah Jack, I play keys in the band. There's only 5 of us. We're 5-piece in that band. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, what else you got?
So the Kenny Rogers, so the show that you do through the years,
yeah,
where you get to perform, all kinds of Kenny Rogers songs, and you, as I understand, have a speed round where the audience can.
How did you hear about that?
I did my research. That sounds like very fun. Actually, I've never been to a show where you got to do that. So
now that got started in Savannah Jack, actually. In Savannah Jack show. Now we don't do it all the time. In the Savannah Jack show, at the end of the show, sometimes we'll go, hey, any artist that you didn't hear tonight, you yell it out. We'll play a little bit of that artist. I don't care who it is. That's how it started. But then I said, you know what? This will work with the Kenny Rogers show too. Is there any song of Kenny that you love? I don't care. Album cut, hit. If you truly love the song and you want to hear a little bit of it, you yell it out right now at the end of the show, and we'll play it for you. So sometimes people yell it just really great with the we love to play anyway. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Freebird.
No, not Kenny never did Freebird. And you have to name the artist for the Savannah Jack speed round. For the
Yes.
Kenny Rogers speed round, it's got, you know, you can try to stop the band, that's your choice, but we really stress it's got let it be one of your favorite songs, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun because there's songs like Crazy, which was the #1 record for Kenny, and I Don't Need You and Share Your Love and just a whole bunch of big hits of Kenny's that we just can't get to all of them. So the speed round covers that. Someone will yell out Reuben James or Share Your Love, and then we play a verse in the course of it. We do a
Yeah.
little short version.
I was going to ask you, do you do any of the first edition stuff? That was like
Oh gosh,
way
yeah,
back.
love that.
Yeah.
We do in the show. We do Just Dropped In, and we have unbelievable footage behind me while I'm singing it. We have unbelievable footage of Kenny in the first edition on the Ed Sullivan Show, Mike Douglas Show, like clips back in 1967 of Kenny and the band.
Wow.
It's so cool.
Wow.
So cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
We do Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town, of course.
Mm-hmm.
In the speed round, that a lot of times the first edition songs come out like Something's Burning, But You Know I Love You, all those ones, and we love doing those. When they yell them out in speed round, we do them.
Kat, have you heard of the first edition, Kenny Rogers?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As he was naming off those, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." You know that.
They had their own TV show. A lot of people
Yeah.
forget they had their own syndicated TV show for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, they had Ike and Tina Turner, huge stars on their show every week. Yeah,
Wow.
Kenny was kind of the main host of that even.
Well, so through the years, interestingly, we had Steve Dorff on as a guest, and
He's a writer of that, right?
yeah, to talk about the backstory of the song. So he told us a bit about meeting Kenny Rogers and what it was like to work with him uh, for this particular song. What was your experience like with him?
Well, my first experience with Kenny was when Reba McEntire's band, unfortunately, a horrible tragedy, got killed in a plane crash. Reba asked Kenny to be on a fundraiser for the family, asked Kenny to be the closer of the concert to raise money for the families. And Kenny, this was back in 1990, asked my brother and I to come up on stage at the end and sing a Bill Withers song, Lean on Me. So that's the first time I was on stage with Kenny was that. And then fast forward to 2000, that's when Kenny recorded my song. And then in 2007, Kenny recorded another one of my songs called Something's Wrong in Vegas. After we recorded that, he asked me to come in the studio and sing it with him. And then when we got done with that, he said, won't you and your band, Savannah Jack, go on the road as my opening act? So we did 66 shows with Kenny all over the world as his opening act. And it was absolutely a dream come true. They treated us as gold. We had great sound check. Anything we needed, he said, you got it. Just let me know. And it was the greatest, act to work with you could possibly imagine. Total class act. And it was again, like I said, one of the thrills of my lifetime. And that led to this whole idea when Kenny retired in 2018. I woke up in the middle of the night at 3:00 in the morning. I was headlining a cruise ship with Savannah Jack. I walked over, got a piece of paper and a pen, and wrote out a song list as if I was singing Kenny songs with his actual band. What will be the order of the show and what songs do I want to do? And that's the show we do. Can you believe that?
Wow.
That's it right there. I called up Chuck Jacob, who's been with Kenny Rogers since 1979. And then I called Randy Dorman, who's been playing acoustic for Kenny since 1977, ran this idea by them, and they were like, heck yeah. Because they were basically retired. When Kenny retired, they were basically retired. So they loved the idea. I don't think they even realized, they knew I was a Kenny Rogers fanatic fan, besides, touring with them. But I don't think they realized how much I was, because like, as soon as we got together to rehearse and stuff, I knew everything already. It was a piece of cake. I knew all the songs, the lyrics. I knew how they began, how they ended. I'd watched all the shows, so I knew how he ended the songs live. So we knew it was going to work from day one. But I wanted to make sure Kenny Rogers was happy with this idea. So we had to call Kenny And I'm telling you what, I got tears in my eyes thinking about it. It's like, it's emotional because Kenny loved the idea. He loved the idea of keeping his band employed. He loved the idea of me singing these songs. And he knows how much I love his stuff. And he totally endorsed it. He sent me a text that was incredible, totally endorsing the show, gave us all his footage from the Gambler movie, anything we needed. He gave us everything and ran it by his lawyers and stuff. That, hey, these guys are totally endorsed by me. Don't give them any problem. Whatever they need, they got it. So it was unbelievable moment in my life. And then so we go out there and we try to uphold that great Kenny Rogers legacy and brand, and go out there and kick butt every night and give the best show, hopefully the best show people have seen in a long time. Every night we never phone it in. It's 100% everything we got. Because we're keeping that great legacy alive of a guy that sold over 120 million records and had hits in 5 decades. And I mean, all we could do is just go out there and remind people how great he was, and also give them our touch of these songs and great stories. And for somebody who's just a casual Kenny Rogers fan, this show, they're going to have a great time. If you're just a fan of having a great time, this show's going to be great for you. So we try to make sure we've got something for everybody.
Yeah, and that I think that is such a great idea. To like I can think of several artists that I would love to come to something like that.
I love.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite song that you perform in the show?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a tough question though, because different nights things affect me differently. I think back to memories of certain songs, like "Ladies" probably at the top of the list because it's such a great song for one. Second of all, I think about the memories. I had that record on I had the 45 of that. I remember getting so excited. I was at National Record Mart, and I went there and I bought the 45 before it even came out in the Greatest Hits album. The Greatest Hits album sold 13 million copies, but this 45 came out first, and I was so excited to get it. I got the 45 before I got the album, and that was a great memory for me. I also, when my wife and I were dating, I went into the mall and sang "Lady" on a cassette tape. Back when they used to have the big karaoke booths in the mall, I sang that, and I gave it to her. She was a big Kenny Rogers fan, so we had that in common. I gave that my version of singing "Lady" to her, and all I'm saying is, 34 years later, we're still married. So, that's all I'm saying.
I guess it worked.
So, "Ladies" at the top there. I feel, of course, when I do the songs I wrote for Kenny, those are special.
Sure.
Because it brings, that's just great moments for me, personally.
So, has anyone in these, the audience speed round, have they ever shouted out one that you didn't know
Nope.
or could play or sing?
Nope. We just had a sold out show in Franklin, Tennessee at the Franklin Theater. And someone yelled out, we had some good ones. "Goodbye, Marie." Got it. We nailed it. "Every Time Two Fools Collide." We had Linda Davis there as a special guest, Brandon Whitney, Linda Davis. And we sang, we had 4 duets, that we did, that we went over. Somebody else, and I called her back out and said, "Linda, I need you to sing one more with me." We did "Every Time Two Fools Collide" with no rehearsal, and I think we nailed it. So it's like, it doesn't matter. We know them all. I love all Kenny stuff. I had all his albums.
Well, it sounds so fun. So I will have to catch one of these shows. So.
We're going to be in Vegas. I don't know when this is going to air, but we're going to be in Las Vegas, South Point Casino, September 14th, 15th, and 16th. And then we're going to be at the Midville Park Theater, and that's about an hour outside of downtown Nashville, on November 1st. And then we go to Georgia on November. It just keeps going after that,
All right. So how can people keep up with this schedule and find out what you have going on, as your new projects?
Well, I have a brand new gospel album out for one, and we're going to hopefully put that on Spotify very soon. I wrote all the songs, the Kenny Rogers Band guesting on it. I wrote 2 songs with members of the group, and Mr. Vince Gill is singing on the album with me. So I hope everybody's going to really enjoy. I'm very, very proud of this record. But you can go to KennyRogersBand.com, has all our tour dates with myself and the Kenny Rogers Band. Now, Savannah Jack right now, it's up on Facebook right now. I don't have the Instagram down right now. I might get that picture soon. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But Savannah Jack dates will be on Don Gatlin Facebook or Savannah Jack Facebook, which is SADANNAHJACK. So, and then also like I said, we have hours and hours. There's hours and hours of videos on YouTube of us in concert, TV shows of myself, my brother and I, or McKinney Rogers and myself. If you want to watch myself from the 1990s all the way up to now, you got a lot of fun on YouTube because there's hours and hours of stuff of me performing on there. So if you ever get bored, slap that on and you can watch me all the way back when I had a mullet.
Few people can say that, that they get to do that. So, well, it's been great to have you as a guest and, catch up just a little of the backstories of your life. And
You kind of cut out a little bit there, but I thank you so much for having me. And like I said, it's great if, people do shows like this and get information out there and connect to people with who the acts are trying to follow. And we appreciate it. Stuff like this helps our careers, and we appreciate what y'all doing this. And like I said, I hope both y'all get out to one of our shows, either the band Jack or myself in the King Rogers band, or if I'm playing some songwriting festival and y'all are in the neighborhood, let me know. And I'd love for y'all to be there.
awesome. Well, if I'm at the concert, I'm going to think of the hardest one. I'm going to research and be like, okay.
Well, make sure it's the one you love, though. Make sure it's a good one. Don't waste your pick.
I'm sure you play through the years, and
absolutely. That's the name of the show.
It's the name of the show. Love that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Well, thank you again for being our guest, and we hope that we can have you back sometime and talk about your, the projects that you'll be working on in the future.
That's right. We need to get to like all the collaborations with the different songwriters and different artists that work within the studio, all those things. I love talking about it. It's great. Yeah. I appreciate y'all very much.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Don. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Bye-bye.